I uncovered a diversity of complex opinions. Many people with whom I spoke longed for a middle ground in an increasingly polarized political climate and remained surprisingly open to compromise, even under an endless drone of Twitter feeds and news reports that suggested America was in the midst of civil Armageddon. Grieving white mothers of gun suicide victims in Missouri told me that guns and the NRA represented our way of life, while at the same time lamenting that local governments did not mandate background checks, gun safes, and trigger locks. African American men in Tennessee voiced support for Obamacare because they believed that expanded health insurance benefited low-income Black, white, and Hispanic populations alike, and in ways that could help everyone. Kansas parents who identified as Republicans and Tea Party supporters wished that their lawmakers would raise state taxes to bolster the public school system. These and other persons, whose voices appear frequently throughout this audiobook, suggest how on-the-ground reality is far more complicated than are the polarized positions we are frequently fed. Positions that benefit politicians, donors, foreign governments, or corporations by convincing different groups of Americans that they have nothing in common with each other. At many points along the way, I became convinced that reasonable people of vastly divergent pro-this or anti-that backgrounds might find middle ground if left to their own devices. But just as frequently, when I met with middle and lower-income white Americans across various locales, I found support for a set of political positions that directly harmed their own health and well-being, or the health and well-being of their own families. For instance, in early 2016 I spoke with Trevor. Most identifying details are changed throughout this audiobook, unless otherwise noted. A 41-year-old uninsured Tennessean who drove a cab for 20 years, until worsening pain in the upper right part of his abdomen forced him to see a physician. Trevor learned that the pain resulted from an inflamed liver, the consequence of years of hard partying and the damaging effects of the hepatitis C virus. When I met him at a low-income housing facility outside Nashville, Trevor appeared yellow with jaundice and ambled with the help of an aluminum walker to alleviate the pain he felt in his stomach and legs. As it turned out, debates raged in Tennessee around the same time about the state's participation in the Affordable Care Act and the related expansion of Medicaid coverage. Had Trevor lived a simple 39-minute drive away in neighboring Kentucky, he might have topped the list of candidates for expensive medications called polymerase inhibitors, a life-saving liver transplant, or other forms of treatment and support. Kentucky adopted the ACA and began the expansion in 2013, while Tennessee's legislature repeatedly blocked Obama-era healthcare reforms. Even on death's doorstep, Trevor wasn't angry. In fact, he staunchly supported the stance promoted by his elected officials. "Ain't no way I would ever support Obamacare or sign up for it," he told me. "I would rather die." When I asked him why he felt this way, even as he faced severe illness, he explained, "We don't need any more government in our lives, and in any case, no way I want my tax dollars paying for Mexicans or welfare queens." Trevor's attitude points to an existential question at the center of my explorations. Of what was Trevor dying? At the most basic level, he died of the toxic effects of liver damage caused by hepatitis C. When the liver becomes inflamed, it fails to filter toxins from the blood and loses the ability to produce vital compounds such as bile and albumin. Without treatment, death comes by systematic deterioration. Jaundice gives way to ascites, which then gives way to hepatic encephalopathy and coma. It's an exceedingly slow, painful way to go out. Yet I could not help but think that Trevor's deteriorating condition resulted also from the toxic effects of dogma. Dogma that told him that governmental assistance in any form was evil and not to be trusted, even when the assistance came in the form of federal contracts with private health insurance, or pharmaceutical companies, or from expanded communal safety nets. Dogma that, as he made abundantly clear, aligned with beliefs about a racial hierarchy that overtly and implicitly aimed to keep white Americans hovering above Mexicans, welfare queens, and other non-white others. Dogma suggesting to Trevor that minority groups received lavish benefits from the state, even though he himself lived and died on a low-income